Welcome to the show, everybody, and let me tell you, today we're diving into some seriously dark territory. We're talking about the most feared institutions on the planet, prisons. But not just any prisons. These are the ones that are infamous, the stuff of nightmares, where the worst of the worst are sent and few ever truly leave. We're talking about places where violence is a constant threat, where isolation can drive you mad, where the guards themselves might be more dangerous than the inmates. These prisons are designed to break you, to strip you of your humanity and leave you a shell of your former self. So buckle up, folks, because we're about to take a trip around the world and into the darkest corners of the human experience as we count down the top 10 scariest prisons ever built. Number 10 on our list is ADX Florence, a Supermax prison in Colorado. This place is basically the Alcatraz of the Rockies, designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in America. We're talking about guys like El Chapo, the Mexican drug lord, and Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. ADX Florence is all about solitary confinement. Inmates spend 23 hours a day locked in their cells, which are basically concrete boxes with a tiny window. They get minimal human contact, and even their exercise time is spent in a small enclosed yard. Imagine that, man, 23 hours a day in a concrete box with nothing but your own thoughts to keep you company. It's enough to drive anyone insane. And that's the whole point, right? To break these guys down, to make them regret every bad decision they ever made. The level of security here is insane. Motion sensors, laser beams, attack dogs, you name it, they got it. They say it's escape-proof, and I believe it. No one has ever broken out of ADX Florence, and I don't think anyone ever will. It's a chilling thought, knowing that there are places like this out there, where human beings are kept in such extreme isolation. But hey, that's the price you pay when you're considered the worst of the worst. Next up at number 9, we're heading over to Russia, to a place called Black Dolphin Prison. This place is located near the Kazakhstan border, and it's known for its brutal conditions and its population of some of Russia's most hardened criminals. Think serial killers, terrorists, mafia bosses, the kind of guys who give other criminals nightmares. They say that even the guards are scared of the inmates here. One of the most disturbing things about Black Dolphin is the constant surveillance. Cameras are everywhere, watching the inmates' every move. They're even filmed while they sleep. And when they do leave their cells, they're forced to walk bent over at the waist, blindfolded, with their hands behind their backs. It's a level of control and dehumanization that's hard to fathom. The prison is also known for its harsh punishments. Inmates are often beaten, tortured, and psychologically abused. There are stories of guards throwing prisoners in solitary confinement for months on end with no light, no heat, and barely any food. Black Dolphin is a place where hope goes to die. It's a stark reminder of the dark side of human nature and the lengths that some societies will go to punish their criminals. Coming in at number 8, we're looking at Rikers Island, a sprawling jail complex in New York City that's become synonymous with violence, corruption, and despair. Now, Rikers isn't technically a prison, it's a jail, which means it mostly houses people awaiting trial. But don't let that fool you. This place is a breeding ground for violence and despair. You got gang warfare, rampant drug use, and a culture of brutality that's been festering for decades. Rikers has been plagued by scandal for years. There have been countless reports of guard brutality, inmate-on-inmate violence, and horrific living conditions. The place is a breeding ground for disease, and the mental health care is practically non-existent. There's a reason they call it the Island of Lost Souls. You go in there for a petty crime, you might come out a hardened criminal or not come out at all. The good news is they're planning on shutting down Rikers Island by 2027. But until then, it remains a stain on the conscience of New York City. At number 7, we find ourselves in Thailand at Kuang Central Prison, a place notorious for its overcrowding and brutal treatment of inmates. They call it the Big Tiger, and it's known for chewing up prisoners and spitting them out. This place is absolutely packed way beyond capacity, with prisoners living in cramped, unsanitary conditions. And the heat, man, the tropical heat in Thailand is brutal, especially when you're crammed into a cell with dozens of other sweaty dudes. One of the most messed up things about Bang Kuang is the practice of shackling new inmates. For the first 3 months, they're chained to their beds 24 hours a day. Can you imagine that? Chained to a bed in that heat with the stench of sweat and despair hanging in the air. The food is scarce. The medical care is practically non-existent, and the guards are notoriously corrupt. They say you can bribe your way into a slightly less horrible cell or get extra food, but if you can't afford it, you're screwed. Bang Kuang is a stark reminder that even in paradise there's a dark underbelly, and for those unfortunate enough to end up in its clutches, there's little hope for redemption. Coming in at number 6, we're heading to the heart of Europe, to Paris, France. You wouldn't think a place known for romance and fine dining would have a prison as notorious as Lante, but trust me, this place is the real deal. Lante has a long and storied history, dating back to the 1800s. It's been the site of riots, escapes, and countless suicides. In fact, for a long time, Lante had the highest suicide rate of any prison in France. The conditions inside are notoriously grim. We're talking overcrowding, rampant disease, and a general sense of hopelessness. It's the kind of place that can break even the strongest will. Lante has housed some of France's most infamous criminals, including Carlos the Jackal, a Venezuelan terrorist who was once one of the world's most wanted men. Even though Lante underwent a major renovation in the early 2000s, its reputation as a brutal and unforgiving institution persists. At number 5, we find ourselves in Bolivia at San Pedro prison, a place so chaotic, so lawless that it's practically run by the inmates themselves. This isn't your typical prison, folks. This is a whole other level of crazy. Inside San Pedro, there are no guards, no cells, and very few rules. Inmates are left to fend for themselves, which has led to the development of a bizarre and often dangerous social hierarchy. The prison is essentially a microcosm of Bolivian society, with its own economy, laws, and even its own neighborhoods. Inmates have to buy or rent their own cells, and the conditions vary wildly depending on how much money you have. Drugs are rampant within the prison walls, and violence is a constant threat. It's a place where the strong prey on the weak, and the only law is the law of the jungle. What's truly wild is that tourists used to be able to pay bribes to get inside San Pedro. They'd party with the inmates, buy drugs, and get a first-hand look at this surreal and dangerous world. San Pedro is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but it's also a sobering reminder of what can happen when society abandons its responsibility to those it imprisons. Coming in at number 4, we travel to Rwanda, to Gitarama Central Prison, a place so horrific, so utterly inhumane that it defies description. This isn't just a prison, folks, it's a humanitarian disaster zone. Gitarama is notorious for its extreme overcrowding. It was originally built to hold a few hundred inmates, but at its peak, it housed over 7,000. Can you imagine that? Thousands of human beings crammed into a space meant for a few hundred. The conditions inside are beyond appalling. There's barely enough room to stand, let alone lie down. The stench of human waste permeates everything. Disease runs rampant, and the lack of basic sanitation is enough to make you sick just thinking about it. Inmates at Gitarama are forced to stand on the concrete floor for hours on end because there's simply nowhere to sit or lie down. Many of them develop gangrene from standing in their own waste. The death rate here is staggering. It's a living hell, a place where human beings are stripped of their dignity and left to rot. It's a stain on the conscience of the world. At number 3, we find ourselves in Syria at Tadmore prison, a place that's become synonymous with torture, disappearances, and state-sanctioned murder. This isn't just a prison, folks, it's a symbol of everything that's wrong with the Assad regime. Tadmore is located in the middle of the Syrian desert, a desolate and unforgiving landscape that mirrors the brutality that takes place within its walls. It's a place where prisoners are sent to be forgotten, to be tortured, and often to be executed. The stories that have emerged from Tadmore are the stuff of nightmares. We're talking torture on a mass scale, summary executions, and psychological terror that would break even the strongest will. Former inmates have described being beaten with chains, electrocuted, and hung from the ceiling for days on end. Amnesty International has called Tadmore a synonym for brutality, torture, disappearances, and death. It's a place where the Syrian government sends its political opponents, its dissidents, and anyone else it deems a threat. Tadmore prison is a chilling reminder of the capacity for human cruelty and the dangers of unchecked power. Coming in at number 2, we're in Venezuela at Diablo Blanco, which translates to White Devil. And let me tell you, this place lives up to its name. It's a prison so violent, so chaotic, so utterly lawless that it's practically a war zone. Diablo Blanco is notorious for its gang control, with powerful gangs essentially running the show inside. They control everything from the drug trade to the food supply, and they enforce their rule with brutal violence. We're talking beheadings, stabbings, shootings, you name it. It's estimated that hundreds of inmates are killed each year within the walls of Diablo Blanco. The guards are either too scared or too corrupt to intervene, and the government seems either unwilling or unable to do anything about it. In 2011, there was a massive riot at Diablo Blanco that lasted for weeks. Over 60 inmates were killed and dozens more were injured. The government eventually stormed the prison, but not before things had descended into absolute chaos. Diablo Blanco is a terrifying glimpse into what happens when a state loses control of its prisons. It's a place where the rule of law has completely broken down and where survival is a daily struggle. And finally, at number 1, we have Alcatraz, the legendary prison island in San Francisco Bay. This place needs no introduction, folks. It's been featured in countless movies, TV shows, and books. It's a place that's captured the imagination of the world. Alcatraz was designed to be inescapable, a prison for the most dangerous criminals in America. It housed some of the most notorious gangsters of all time, including Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. The prison was surrounded by cold, treacherous waters, and the guards were under strict orders to shoot any inmate who attempted to escape. And yet, despite all of this, there was always the legend of the escape, the idea that maybe, just maybe, someone had managed to cheat the system and make it out alive. Alcatraz closed its doors in 1963, but its legend lives on. It's a place that continues to fascinate and terrify us, a symbol of both the best and worst of the American justice system. So there you have it, folks, the top 10 scariest prisons in the world. These places are a stark reminder of the dark side of human nature, the capacity for cruelty and violence that exists within us all. But they're also a reminder of the importance of hope, of the need for compassion and rehabilitation, even for those who have committed the most heinous crimes. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the heart of darkness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below telling me what you thought of this episode. And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay out of prison.